Good, man. All good.
Oh, wicked. Is there any fight news on the horizon, or you just ticking over at the moment?
No fight news at the moment. Just training and waiting on a date just in case.
Now, Shane, we believe that you're living in Las Vegas at the moment. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I live in Las Vegas.
Yeah. How long have you been living and I suppose training there as well, mate?
So I've been here for 2 years now. November will be 2 years. So and I love it. Obviously, I come back and forth from California to Vegas, where my dad was fighting and things like that. So I've always had Vegas kind of as a second home.
Now, as well as the training, have you ever been tempted by the sort of bright lights of Vegas for the party scene, or are you staying disciplined, bro?
Oh no, I when I have a goal, like there's nothing that gets in that way, man. So, partying and all the things, the nightlife is nice, but if you have a goal, that's more important than all of that.
Definitely, mate. Yeah. So there's no avoiding who your father is. A Hall of Famer. A three-weight world champion. How is he, mate? Is he ticking over well? Is he okay?
Yeah, he's doing good. He's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame next year, or he's supposed to be this year, but because of the pandemic, it had to be postponed. But he's class of 2020, which is pretty cool.
Oh, wicked. Is he enjoying retirement, Shane, or is he getting the itch back maybe to return like Mike Tyson and Roy Jones are doing at the moment?
I would hope that he stays retired. He's done everything he needs to do in boxing, in my opinion. He's a Hall of Famer. That's why he's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. He deserves all the accolades that he's getting, and he doesn't need to tarnish that to fulfill some type of whatever need that I'm sure that will happen. Even when I retire, I'm sure I'm going to always feel like, man, I could still do it, or maybe I should take one more fight. What I mean? I can beat up those younger guys. I'm sure that's always a thing. That's why you get into this sport, right? Because you're competitive, because you feel like you can outdo somebody else. But at a certain point, you need to be able to. It takes more strength to put it down and say, look, I'm happy with what I've accomplished in the ring. I'm happy with who I was, and I'm going to hold on to that, and I'm not tarnish that by trying to be, still compete.
Do you think money is a massive part in this, Shane? Do you think that's maybe why we're seeing a potential return of not just Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, but other ex-fighters as well? Do you think that has a part to play?
Absolutely. I'm sure that Manny Pacquiao being I think he's a senator, a congressman in this country, and still being able to fight at a high level. I'm sure that makes these guys go, man, if he could do it, I know I can do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure that doesn't help at all, but everybody's different. And, for me, I feel like, that should be put away and postponed. I mean, even Manny Pacquiao, I think he's only fighting once every so often, and he's not taking as much, as many fights, I should say. So hopefully he even retires as well. So.
Yeah. Now, obviously, with your dad, Shane, he must be, obviously immensely proud of you, and that you're involved in a sport that he was so successful in and loves as well. But I mean, stepping back and looking at it from a father's point of view and a dad's point of view, do you think there must have been times that were difficult for him, or maybe even a worry for him that this is such a dangerous sport that you're in, mate?
Absolutely. I know that my grandfather was scared for me, and he vocalized that. Like he's like, if you're not going to take this serious, if you're not going to do this the right way, I need you to, get out if you're not going to take it seriously. And I'm sure my dad never vocalized that to me, but I'm sure that he feels a certain way, because my dad was my trainer for the first 9 fights of mine. So I think he couldn't necessarily say that he was scared because, you know, he's my coach. You know,
Yeah,
so he would never like, yeah, I'm nervous for you. You know, he would never say that because he's like in my corner, like, you know, all right, now go fight. Yeah, after you know what I mean? That's you know, kind of contradicting itself. But I know that he probably felt a little nerves and things like that. You know, it's only natural. I mean, I've been to so many of his fights, and every single time I feel like I've been more nervous at his fights or watching his fights than I do with my own fights. So it's because you feel you care for that person, you want them to succeed, and you can't control that. You can't control what's going on. But when I fight, I can control that. You know, if I'm losing or if I'm winning, I can control that outcome. You can't control somebody else's fight. So that's something that I find that's very nerve-wracking when you care about somebody. So I'm sure that he felt, you know, nerves for me. He always calls me and lets me know, like, you know, I wish you the best and things like that. So it's good.
What was the dynamic like, Shane? Obviously, having your father in your corner, was it quite a difficult thing for you as a boxer for your dad to be your trainer and your cornerman as well?
I found it a little bit distracting, especially the level of fighter he was. Yeah. Like if my dad was just like a regular guy, like, yeah, I don't think it would have been as difficult. But because he was a world champion, Hall of Famer, and things like that, you know, like literally one of my fights, the last fight that like he was my coach for, actually, we're walking to the ring, and as we're about to reach the ring, somebody asked him to take a picture with him, and like literally, I'm like I told the person, like, yo, back the fuck up. He has a job to do. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it's not the time and place really for that, Shane, is it?
Exactly. Like we're about to get in. Like I'm about to literally like walk through the ropes, like, and you're asking him for like a picture. You know what I mean? Like back up. He has a job to do. So I think more than anything, it was more distracting. And then like I think the more I had him with me, the more people asked me like, oh, how does it feel like having, you know, your dad as a like trainer? You know what I mean? Like that's not something that really crosses my mind until people tell me. Like I don't really compare myself to him. That's not my job. You know, my job is to be the best Shane Mosely Jr. I can be. So for somebody to like ask me, it's more distracting to me, especially like when they do it like when I'm going to fights, or, oh, does it ever like bother you that your dad's a world champion, or, you know, he's so famous, you gotta be in his, you know, like his shadow, you know? Like I wasn't thinking about it until you brought it up, you know what I mean? You know, like, so like, but it doesn't really bother me. Like it's just more, it's like I said, it's more distracting than anything, because it's like you're putting a thought that you would probably feel if you were in this, because you maybe not feel that big, but I feel comfortable in my space. I am my own man. I am my own fighter, and I'm going to create my own legacy, you know, whatever that may be, whether it be a world champion or just a good fighter, or whatever it may be, it's going to be me. I did this, Shane Mosely Jr. You know what I mean? So, and I'm going to be proud of that, because I did it for myself and I created that myself. Just like he created his own thing. Nobody jumped in the ring and did it for him. He did it for him. So with that being said, I kind of like having my own trainer, having my own like team. I love having him as like a father, you know what I mean, like a supportive father. He calls me and says, hey, you know what I mean, everything's good, you know what I mean, you be sure that, you know, you're worried about this or you're thinking about this when you go into the fight, think about knocking him out, you know, whatever the case is. And we can communicate on that level rather than communicating on like a specific game plan or things like that, or being distracted by, you know, his fame. So I like that dynamic.
Yeah, now Shane, before we come on to you, mate, I just quickly want to touch upon, and I'd like to pay tribute to someone who I know was was so close to you, your dad, and your family, the late great Nazim Richardson.
Yeah.
Could you just tell us a bit about the man, Shane?
Oh man, Nazim was one of the best trainers I think I've been around. So insightful. Obviously, we have like great sayings from him, like "swim without getting wet," or knock the grease off of him. There's just so many. He always called me spicy. I think because he wanted me to be different from my dad, and he didn't want me to go by, Sugar Shane Mosely Jr. He wanted me to be kind of my own man, and that was one of the reasons why I created, the Sugar Man rather than Sugar Shane Mosely Jr. I'm the Sugar Man, Shane Mosley Jr. So I tried to create that identity for myself, not because of him, but because of his influence. So, he always said, create your own identity. And because of that, I think that also helped me to create the Sugar Man. So I'm thankful for him. Obviously he'll be missed, and it's incredible. So actually, one like fun fact, he died the day of my fight in Indio, California, on the Golden Boy card. And so like literally, I'm like looking at my phone the morning of, and I see that he passed away. And like literally the first thing that came to my mind was working, right? So he used to say this thing whenever he was in the boxing gym and somebody called him on a cell phone. He would answer the phone and say to them, "working," and then hang up. It could be anybody in the world. And he would tell, like, I'll be like, "Hey man, like, why did you hang up on them?" He's like, if it's an emergency, they don't need to be calling me. They need to be calling 911 or somebody else. I'm not the person that you call for an emergency. So I'm working right now. If I was at a regular job, I couldn't take this phone call right now. They would have to wait and deal with it later. So I'll call them whenever when I'm finished. So I thought that was pretty incredible to stay on focus, no matter what's going on in the world. Stay focused on the job that you're doing right now. So when this happened, that's the first thing that came to my mind: working.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grieve after this is done. I can't grieve now. I can't be sad about this now. I have to take this information, put it aside for right now, get the job done, and win, and then I can grieve. So that was something that I'll always remember from him, is that, you got to stay on task, stay focused.
Yeah, certainly a special man who will certainly be missed by all mates, definitely.
Shane, I'd love to ask you about your time in the Contender. Obviously, it's such a high profile thing to be a part of. Do you look back at it positively, and if so, are there any particular highlights when you do look back?
Yeah, man, I definitely look at that experience as positive. I mean, being a part of that show, there's such, like you said, high level fighters, and being able to come out as a finalist of all those guys definitely gave me confidence, definitely gave me a sense of, like I am good. And I think the best part of it for me was that it gave other people validation of me, right? Because it can go, this guy that we may not have thought he was taking this seriously, or that we, didn't really think very much of, was able to get here. You know what I mean? So whether or not they still think that of me, I still was able to prove it at a high level. It gets very, very good competition. So with that, I think that is what I loved about it, is that it gives me validation to the outward public, which I don't feel like I got before the show. So I was very thankful for that.
Did you feel, upon entering the show, Shane, did you feel sort of maybe not as much pressure as some of the other fighters? given that you already had quite a high profile, given that you're a Mosley, in comparison to maybe to other fighters on the show who would maybe purely on there just to build their profile?
You know, I think we all have our pressure. We all have our, you know, things that we take into there. I think that to a certain extent, it's kind of important to take some pressure on there with you, whether that be your own pressure that you put on yourselves or from everybody else. But I think it's good. It's good to have some tension. It's good to have a little bit of thing, like, so that you have that bite, that you have that fight to go out there and be like, yeah, nah, I'm gonna show y'all like what's real. But you know, I mean, of course, you don't want to take too much of that. So I can't speak for anybody else, but what I took in there is that everybody in here is gunning for me. Everybody in here thinks that I'm not serious. Everybody in here thinks that they're gonna walk over me. I'm gonna show them what's real. I'm gonna show them that I'm a real fighter, and that was something that that I took into account. Now you can't really like overdo that, because if you overdo that, everybody's gunning for me. Like then you feel overwhelmed. But I just took one fight at a time. Luckily, I had a lot of tournament experience in the amateurs. I didn't really do many fights, but I did a lot of tournaments because, you know, I was trying to make up for that. So I had a lot of that experience where you can go, all right, I'm fighting this guy. I'm not looking at every single guy. I'm looking at the guy that I'm fighting next, and I'm gunning for him. And then the next guy, I'm gunning for him. So when you have a lot of tournament experience, I feel like that helps in this particular tournament and this particular, you know, environment. So I use that to my advantage.
Awesome, mate. Did you feel, Shane, you know, maybe you had a bit of a target on your back, you know, being who you are? I mean, from watching it, it seemed like, you know, from a viewer's perspective, tensions are quite high in there for you. Was that what it was like, or maybe was it hyped up a bit for viewers? What was it actually like, mate?
I feel like there were certain guys in there gunning for me because they felt like I was low-hanging fruit. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I can't say that they all did, because some of them actually knew me, knew, you know, kind of what I was capable of. So I think some of them didn't really underestimate me. And that was a lot of the guys from the West Coast, but a lot of the guys on the East Coast, they didn't really know me. They weren't familiar with, like, who I was and kind of like all of the camps that I had been in, you know what I mean? Like, so I think that they were a little uncertain of me, but, you know, one thing that I think is important, especially people that don't know you, I don't want to prove them wrong at first. I don't want to, like, you know, if they think that I'm weak, I'm not going to show them that I'm strong, you know, before a fight. I'm going to show them that I'm strong during the fight. When they're surprised, they go, oh shit, this ain't the same guy that I thought it was, you know what I mean? Because that's when it's important. It's not important. So a lot of the guys that thought I was weak, you know, I go, hi, I'm Shane, you know, like, it's all fun and games, man. Smile. Yeah. Oh man, we're going to fight tomorrow. Cool. And then when I get in there, I'm a fucking animal. I'm gonna break your fucking face. You know what I mean? And that's what you're supposed to do. That's the art of fighting. Because I'm not supposed to. It don't matter that I show you that I'm, you know, scary before. It don't mean shit. It means everything when you're in the ring. When that guy doesn't expect it, that's when it matters. So that's what I tried to do. All of the guys, they thought I was weak. I showed them that, you know, kind of passive side before the fights. When I'm in there, I show them that I'm a dog.
Yeah. Now Andre Ward, Shane, obviously one of pound for pound boxing's best of all time, presenter of the show. Was this a man that you ever seeked any advice from, or, you know, any tips or any tactical things you looked at from him during your time on the show?
Absolutely. Nothing specific from Andre Ward, but just being around him and just hearing him, listening to him talk, the way, you know, he would just conduct himself. Everything about him was very professional, very high level. You know what I mean? High level of thinking. Even the way he puts together his words and his sentences were just such high level, and you can tell that he's a man of integrity, a man that does the things that he says that he's gonna do. And he's like, if he says something, he says he's gonna do something, he means it. And that's what I loved about him. And like I said, just being around him, just hearing some of the conversations that he would have with some of the other fighters, or even the people on the show, just, you know, it was incredible having him there.
I bet, mate.
Where does he? Sorry, Scott. Before we move on, where does he rank, Shane, for you personally in your sort of pound for pound best of all time, mate? He's right up there, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. For me, I mean, there's a lot of, like, when you think of, like, you know, top 5, top 10, like, you know, it's very, very tough. But he's definitely, for me, top 5 for sure.
Awesome, mate. I have to say congratulations, Shane, obviously, on signing a contract with Golden Boy. I read that you said it was sort of like a homecoming. I bet you've got a great relationship with Oscar, even if your dad maybe was a bit, you know, too good for him.
Yeah. It was a very good experience to be a part of Golden Boy. It just kind of came full circle for me, having to be a part of the team and be a part of such, you know, great company on there. So I was happy about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, looking at Golden Boy in particular, Shane, I just want to get your thoughts on another very talented Golden Boy fighter is Ryan Garcia. I don't know if it's someone that you know personally, but he seems to have a bit of an indifferent relationship with Oscar, shall we say. I mean, what's your take on that, bro?
When a lot of money gets involved with anything, I'm sure that it gets complicated. I feel like that always happens in any form of business. So I'm not sure what their indifference is, but I'm sure when it comes down to it, like they like each other. Just maybe a little bit differences when it comes to, you know, money and things like that, which is understandable. When you have that much money and making certain things, you want to be able to get what you feel like you deserve. So, that's here nor there, though.
What's your hopes, mate, with Golden Boy? You hope when they deliver you a world title shot, or you just still continue to build your profile?
I mean, obviously, I'm here because I want to be a world champion.
Yeah.
And I'm with people that I feel that can get me to that level and get me to the world championship. I feel like they believe in me to become a world champion, and I'm just along for the journey. Obviously, with COVID and things like that, it makes it a little bit more difficult to get fights. I'm not sure when they will be having their upcoming fights. Hopefully, we get some movement soon with that. I would love to see Ryan Garcia and Luke Campbell. I think that's an incredible fight. I think that's a good fight for both of them. I think it's 50-50. And even who else is on the card? I think it's Jorge Linares and it's Fortuna. I think that they're fighting. Right. Yeah, so I think that those are the next fights for Golden Boy coming up. So hopefully we get those going and we get some more traction and get some more movement with everything, you know, going on. And I could get back in there in the ring. That's the best thing that for a fighter is activity. So that's what I want. I want some activity. I want to get moving again and get to that world title.
Are you any plans, Shane, on potentially coming over to our shows in the UK in the future, or nothing set in stone with that yet?
Nothing set in stone, but I would most definitely be up for that, man. I think that'd be pretty great. I mean, shoot, my name is like, I think Irish or something like that anyway. I mean, Shane Mosley is a pretty Irish name, so
yeah, definitely, mate.
I think it'd be pretty beloved. It's kind of interesting. Like when I hear Shane Mosley, I think of like somebody that looks like you guys. You know what I mean? I don't think of like me. So I mean, I guess thanks for my grandparents. They're the ones who came up with the name and thought it was very fitting. So, you know, cool.
Yeah. Just talking about like sort of the UK scene and British fighters. I mean, is there anybody maybe in your division, maybe like a Billy Joe Saunders or someone that you're particularly a big fan of from the UK, mate?
Oh man, I love Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, I'm so disappointed with him because like he's such a great and talented fighter. He could be the top of this division, and I feel like he falls short because of himself, because of just some stuff that he does. You know what I mean? That is like, why are you doing that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He gets involved in some crazy things, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, but he's a great fighter, so I wish he would, try to stick more to that, because I feel like it'd be beneficial to him, because I think he could definitely give a lot of these guys a run for the money. I think that he gives Canelo a better fight than most people think.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's why a lot of these guys don't want to jump in there with him, because they see his boxing IQ, they see how talented he is, and he's a southpaw. So I think if he gets his act together, he can most definitely make a name for himself, and make his mark really in this era. I think him and even Demetrius Andrade, I really am a fan of him. He's such a great fighter. Even if they fought, I think that'd be pretty tactical fight. I can't say it'd be fun or the most exciting, but I mean, for me as a fighter and as a strategic kind of guy, I think that'd be a really fun fight. There's a lot of fun fights out there for boxing fans, especially in the middleweight, super middleweight division. I think there's a lot of good fights.
What do you make of this Floyd Mayweather nonsense with Logan Paul? Have you seen that yet, Shane?
No, I haven't. What's going on with it?
Well, apparently Floyd Mayweather is coming out of retirement now to fight that YouTuber, Logan Paul.
Oh, my God.
It's a circus, mate, isn't it? It's a circus.
He's just trying to steal money wherever he can, man. Like, come on, beat up this kid for just nothing. I mean, I guess the guy is probably like, I'll take an ass whooping for however many million.
Yeah. No, yeah, it is. It's crazy. Now, Shane, just before we let you go and get on with the rest of your day, we mentioned Canelo and the division that you're in there briefly. I just want your thoughts on who do you think Canelo should fight next? How about Shane Mosley Jr.?
I mean, shoot, I would love to fight him. Maybe not next. For me, obviously, I would want to get some more experience and things like that. I'm not going to be naive. Obviously, if they offer me the fight, I would take it. But in a perfect world, I'd want a little bit more experience. I'd want to become a champion before that fight. I think it'd be more beneficial for both of us as a business. You know what I mean? Like him fighting me as just like a guy, it's like nothing. But if him fighting me as a champion and things like that, and when I'm established, then it's a bigger fight. So it's more beneficial for everybody. Yeah. But nevertheless, if they did offer me the fight, I mean, shit, who would turn down however many million that would be?
Be awesome, mate.
Yeah. But I think right now, one of the best guys for Canelo to fight would most likely be Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, or obviously Triple G. I think that those would be kind of the most beneficial fights right now. I mean, obviously, Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders are going to ask for more, and they may not be able to get that money that they want from the fight, and that they may be deserving of the fight. But I think that those are good fights.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Well, Shane, I just want to say on behalf of Scott, myself, and Southwest Boxing Media and fans as well, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, mate. Thanks for your time.
Oh man, thank you. I appreciate you guys. I'd love to come on. If you guys have, want to bring me on again, I'd love it, man.
Definitely.
That would be
We'll
awesome,
catch up
mate.
again soon, mate.
All right, man. See you.
Wish you all the best. Take care.
You, Shane. Bye, buddy.
Good speaking to you. Take care, Shane.